Hello. Some good news on the VC front. Apparently, there's an uptick in venture capital. Every conversation I've had this week has been about the uptick in venture capital. It seems to be something that people are excited about, but don't want to get too excited about. I'll get into that. I'll tell you more about that storyline and what's happening, as well as an example of that venture capital flowing into Portland with a $1 million raise this week. But before I get into the VC side of things, I wanted to get into the startup support organization side of things. There's an organization here in the region called TiE Oregon. TiE itself has always been a really interesting organization for Portland because they're not only kind of the educational boot camp, pitch, practice kind of organization, they also have a group called TiE Angels that's aligned with them here in town. So they're this very nice mix of not only mentorship and education, but also capital that can be deployed for early stage startups. So the big news from TiE Oregon this week is they have a new president, and it's Matt Dittrich. I'm super happy about this announcement. I knew it was coming, but really happy that it's finally been made public. If you haven't had a chance to meet Matt yet, you probably will, because every single event that I've been to, Matt's been there. He's been there hanging out with the community, getting engaged. He's really a, kind of roll your sleeves up and do the work type of person, which I'm really excited about, probably because he's like a sixth generation Pacific Northwest farmer. But the really exciting part about this is Matt, he's been doing this work for a decade, but he's done practically everything all up and down the venture stack, which is a really interesting perspective to bring to this role guiding this startup support organization. I mean, Matt's been an angel, his venture partner, he's started his own venture fund, he's worked on 2 venture studios, he's even dabbled a little bit in private equity. So he really has an understanding of that investment stack, how capital works, how it flows, like what venture scale truly means. But I think even more importantly, he has an understanding of what founders are going through, where they need help, and where TiE Oregon can be most supportive for founders in our region who are building really interesting and innovative ideas. So I'm a huge fan of Matt. We've been, going back and forth for a very long time. And I've always appreciated not only his energy and optimism, but just, again, his willingness to get to work. So I expect nothing different of Matt in this new role. And Matt, welcome to officially being part of the startup support community. I look forward to working with you closely throughout your tenure at TiE Oregon. Did I say something about a startup raising $1 million? Yes, in fact, I did. Portland startup Graze has managed to land $1 million initial seed round from folks like BetaWorks and Salesforce Ventures. If you don't remember what Graze does, they're the ones who are building tooling for Bluesky. So Bluesky, the social media thingamajig with the kind of the tweets and those kind of update things, started within Twitter, kind of as an open version of Twitter, was spun out. Now it's its own entity. Thank goodness that happened before all the other Twitter stuff happened. But Bluesky is an entity in and of itself. And because it's open, we see a lot of developers exploring the possibilities of Bluesky and what potentially could be done with it. It reminds me a lot of the very early days of Twitter, when the Twitter API was open and developers could build products and would often build functionality that enhanced early Twitter, some of which would be adopted by Twitter in the future. Bluesky's still at that kind of stage, rapidly growing. People seem to like it. Open environment where people can build tools and test things, and that's right where Graze is sitting. Graze's tooling is really focused on helping people customize feeds. So to put it another way, they're helping you create your own algorithm for how you would like to see the information and updates coming through Bluesky. Up until now, you have to be a developer, you have to write code to build a algorithmic feed. But with Graze, it's all drag and drop. So even somebody like me can go out there and say, I want a feed like this, and I can use Graze and build it, and I go bloop, and then that feed I can share with any of you. I can build that feed. I can say, hey, here's a feed I built of stuff I like. Would you like to like that stuff and read that stuff too? And you can say, yes, absolutely. And I would go, great, here's my feed of Bluesky that shows us the stuff we want to see. And basically, that's what Graze does. So they've raised $1 million to help them, kind of keep up with Bluesky. Bluesky slowed down a little, but it's still moving really, really fast. And so this will help with growth and hiring and all those kind of things. I'm just super excited because it's right in that traditional Portland tech sweet spot of engineers building tools for other engineers or to enable individuals who aren't developers to work with code in ways that makes it easier. So now the uptick in VC that people can't stop talking about. The talk of the town this week is the uptick in venture capital. I really appreciate Malia Spencer highlighting this. It came from some PitchBook data and other organizations that track venture capital and what's happening. But if I'm understanding it correctly, in Q1 of 2024, Q1 of last year, there was only about 58, let's say $60-ish million of venture capital invested in Portland during that quarter. In the first quarter of 2025, $170 million was invested. So, almost 3x what was quarter over quarter, 3x investment. So that's a nice uptick to see. And there were a couple really big rounds that fell outside that. They fell into Q2, into April. And so people are like, don't get your hopes up. But it's a positive sign for building venture scale companies in Portland. There are, now we can kind of start to rattle off a few of those companies like Sturdy and Eclipsium and others. So I don't want to get my hopes up, but I think we're seeing a little bit of a thawing of the venture capital community, and other VCs in town are like, yes, positive, but cautiously optimistic. So I just wanted to let you know that first quarter 2024, 60 million. This quarter 2025, 170 million. Positive uptick in VC activity. I don't want to steal Malia's thunder, so I'll link up the Portland Business Journal article so you can read more if you're interested. But all in all, cautiously optimistic about venture capital in Portland and in Oregon as a whole. Sorry, my voice is so rough and I'm kind of stuffed up, but tree pollen is no joke right now. My immune system is on full alert. So bear with me. Let's get through this. I want to make sure you have all the news, but I also don't want to subject you to an even more nasally and monotone voice than you're used to. All right, hang in there. Let's keep going. Remember a few weeks back, I talked about 18F, the 18F, which was the tech group at the federal government level that really used really innovative thinking, kind of startup thinking around technology to help entities, organizations, departments, bureaus at the federal level improve what they were doing, create efficiency through technology. Well, unfortunately, that group, 18F, was shuttered and everybody was let go in a very unceremonious kind of way. But here in Portland, Ron Bronson, who was the director of design, I might be flubbing his title. I apologize if I am. But anyway, Ron said, kind of in a phoenix rising from the ashes kind of way, if I'm not going to be doing this work at the federal level, maybe we can find ways to use that energy and insight and innovation for Portland. And so he launched Portland Digital Core, and to much fanfare, and usually I'm willing to give folks a little breathing room. I'm like, yeah, you announced it, now get your ducks in a row and figure out what's going on and start gradually doing things. But Portland Digital Core is having none of that. They hit the ground running. They have a GitHub instance that you can follow if you're a GitHub type. They have a Discord if you want to join and just hang out and see what's going on with the Portland Digital Core. If you want to volunteer, obviously you can sign up to do that. And if you're a volunteer, you're like, what am I going to work on? Well, let me tell you, because they've already got 3 projects that they're working on for nonprofit entities. One of them is very near and dear to my heart. It's Built Oregon. So they were willing to work on a project for Built Oregon. So there are volunteers focused around that one. There's the Cape Perpetua Collaborative that they're working on. So if you want to volunteer for that effort, that's available too. And then finally, Families for Safe Streets. So these are the 3 initial projects where, people can kind of get together, learn how to work with one another, really deliver some interesting work product for some nonprofits, and then get out. Like I want to restate something I've heard Ron say several times, which is like, this is not like a long-term engagement. This is like parachute in, fix the problem, do the thing, get out. So really quick turn projects designed to be impactful to the organization, but not designed to be this kind of long-term consulting or development arrangement with these organizations. And I think right now, every little bit helps. So if that is inspiring to you, if you are a developer or you have any other skill set that you believe could contribute, maybe you're UX, maybe you're QA, maybe you are a technical writer, maybe you can help with some other aspect. Maybe you're like me. Maybe you're like, I don't know much, but I can write things or tell people about things. Whatever. I think they would love to have you. Please take the opportunity to volunteer for the Portland Digital Core. And I look forward to sharing these projects once they're complete. Speaking of engineers, I wanted to remind people that the first Portland AI Engineers Meetup, the inaugural meetup of AI engineers, is happening April 30th. So still a little ways out, but because it's a new one, because, they're still building the community and organizing the things and the stuff, I just wanted to remind you, if you have been looking for something more technical around AI, something more developer or engineering focused, this may be the meetup for you. So please, if that's your area of interest, I'll link up Portland AI Engineers and take the opportunity to attend their very first meetup, April 30th. So I've got a couple events, 3 actually, that I'm involved in, working on, helping with. So I just wanted to let you know, in case you wanted to show up, come hang out, come participate in these amazing events. The one I wanted to primarily talk about is our May 13th event, which is another series of fireside chats with startup founders and community leaders focused on AAPI Heritage Month. So Asian American and Pacific Islander folks in our community who have been founders, who have brought community together. We really wanted to give the opportunity for them to sit down, talk a little bit more about what they were doing, share some of their stories. So that will be happening May 13th at Instrument. I'll link up the RSVP. Space is limited. This is one of those spaces where we can only get 100 or so people in there. So please, if that's of interest to you, RSVP as quickly as you can. We will also try to live stream it because people have said several times, please live stream these things. And we want to make sure that as many people as possible have access to these kind of events. So we will definitely try and live stream it. And then it's also important to note that May 13th happens to fall during Portland Startup Week 2025. So this will not be the only event happening that week. That whole week will be jam-packed with startup-focused events. So even if you can't make the AAPI event, make sure to take a look at the Portland Startup Week 2025 calendar so you can get an idea of all the events that are happening and things you might want to attend. And if you are an event programmer, please make sure that if you have an event happening that week, that you get it on the calendar, or if you would consider programming an event that week, make sure and propose that and get it on the calendar as well. And just the idea is it's a week to celebrate all the amazing events that happen for the Portland startup community and the organizations who host and organize and program those events, it's really your best opportunity to get exposure to the widest selection of organizations and events in the community, or it's your opportunity to kind of ride the wave of the promotion around Portland Startup Week and maybe get more people to events that you're programming and hosting. So it's a win-win-win-win-win situation with Portland Startup Week. I hope you take the chance to participate by showing up, or even potentially by starting your own event. And then a couple other events that I just want to touch on. April 29th is the Ankeny Alley kind of flash mob, show up to support small business. No agenda, no nothing, just show up, hang out with other people from the Portland startup community and the broader community, and really just patronize the businesses along Ankeny Alley. Just be there, spend a little money, and show these small businesses in Ankeny Alley that you appreciate them and what they're doing, and the fact that they're part of the Portland business ecosystem and really part of, in many ways, the entrepreneurial community that we have here. So this will happen a variety of places throughout the city in coming months, but this is really the inaugural Ankeny Alley Portland Office of Small Business. I might see if I can convince Mitch that we do something in alphabetical order, since he started with Ankeny Alley. Maybe the next one is a Belmont or a Burnside or something along those lines. So we'll get that. Mitch will get that figured out. He'll tell me, I'll tell you, and then we'll all show up. So let's practice that this time. Mitch told me, I told you, you all show up, and he and I will show up, and we'll all be there, and we'll do the thing, support the businesses. It'll be great. Show up for small business, a kind of flash mobby kind of thing, April 29th. And then the other thing, this is a ways out, but I want to make sure you're there, is July 8th. It's a save the date, save July 8th in the evening. We're taking over the Red in Southeast Portland there on Salmon. We're going to have both the parking lot and the building. It's going to be the Portland Startup Community Cookout. So lots of food involved. Should be fun. Like our other big events, no real programming. Just show up, hang out, meet people. We received feedback from the first two events. So we're making a few tweaks, things here and there, improving some things, changing some things, bringing some things back from the first event that didn't happen in the second event, taking some things from the second event and incorporating them with other things from the first event to make the third event. Because 1 + 1 = 3. So please show up July 8th. Again, I'll link it up. Would love to see you there. Because the venue is so big, I'm really hoping we don't have to cap the RSVPs this time around, but better to get your name on the RSVP list now so you don't have to worry about it later down the road. And as we get more information, more details, I will make sure to share that information with you. And of course, we'll probably keep talking nonstop about the July 8 event because I'm so excited about it. Like, it could be a really big, fun thing for the community, but also beneficial. So could provide value, could be entertaining. We'll just have to wait and see how it comes together, won't we? Okay. So see you April 29th, Ankeny Alley. Potentially April 30th, Portland AI Engineers. May 13th for the AAPI Fireside Chats event at Instrument as part of Portland Startup Week. See you at other events during Portland Startup Week. And then finally, last but not least, see you July 8th at the Red for the Portland Startup Community Cookout. Okay, I saved this to the end because it's stuff about me. I had the opportunity to be on a couple of podcasts, got to talk about things I don't usually talk about, still startup related, like still startup stuff and that kind of thing, because that's the thing people like to talk to me about. So got the opportunity to do that with the Startup Success podcast, really talking about building startups outside of Silicon Valley. So like, you know, in my estimation, there's the Bay Area, and then there's practically everywhere else. And startup stuff that works in the Bay Area doesn't generally work most other places. So having spent 30 years building startups in Portland, I think I have kind of an interesting perspective on what it's like to build startups outside of the Bay Area. The other benefit being stuff that works in Portland is more likely to work elsewhere around the globe than stuff in Bay Area, San Francisco, Silicon Valley world, because that's a very different ecosystem, and Portland is quite different from that. And so hopefully my insights are valuable in that regard. And the other one I did, I laugh because it's like, it's kind of an ironically named podcast. It's called The 5-Minute Startup, but really great conversation, really enjoyed it. But it ran far longer than 5 minutes. In fact, it's almost 3 hours long, the conversation we had there, and talk about all kinds of things. Like if you're curious about some of my background or history, there's some of that there. Talk a ton about Portland and the experience here and things like that. Some going through the basics for if you're thinking about starting a startup, or like the reality of venture capital, or all those kind of things. So, I mean, 3 hours went really quickly. I won't lie. We probably could have kept talking for another 3 hours easily. But if that's of interest to you, I'll go ahead and link that up as well. 5-Minute Startup, full length podcast that almost runs 3 hours. I don't like to make this a me episode. I just wanted to share this stuff with you about the events and the podcasts. All right, that's it. Hope you're hanging in there. Until we get the chance to chat again, please keep up the good work.